If you've been following this channel long enough, then you will know that I absolutely love finding new flat earthers. And boy do we have a new one for you today. One that thinks that NASA actually proves a flat earth. Hello all and welcome along to another video and day 26 of One a Day for May, where I release a video every single day for the month of May. My name is Simon Dan, thanks very much for joining me. Before we begin today's video, I was reading earlier how we have now found an extra 128 moons orbiting Saturn, taking the total amount of moons orbiting Saturn to 274. And I was reading that story on Ground News, which was actually founded by a former NASA engineer called Harleen Kaur, who worked on the James Webb Space Telescope. Now, Ground News combines stories and articles from thousands of outlets, local and national, in one place so readers can see the full picture of what's being reported around the world. As you can see here with the Saturn moon story, Ground News shows you if there's any political leanings for each publication. And in this instance, we can see that it's mainly centre driven with 79 total news sources. For every story, you get a quick visual breakdown of the news outlets covering it, their political bias, how factual the source is, which entity owns the source, and which countries are covering the story. You can also click on any of the headlines to read the story from its original source. The best thing is that you can develop a well-rounded worldview. See every side to every story with access to international perspectives that are hard to find. So then you can make informed decisions where you can read, watch and share the best information available. Plus, Ground News is mission-centric. It's not about eliminating bias, but providing better transparency. And they're funded by their community, not by big ads or investors. So go to ground.news/Simon to stay fully informed on breaking news and compare media coverage. Subscribe through my link in the description for 40% off unlimited access if you support the mission and find it as useful as I do. Thanks again to Ground News. Right, on with today's video then, and this brand new flat earther. She's called Jenn, and by the looks of it, she's hit flat earth hard. Let's see what she has to say.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Jenny and Jesus. This is going to be part 2 of the Flat Earth series. And yes, you heard me correctly, the Earth is flat. Now, I can guarantee that there is a box below me that says, Flat Earth is an archaic belief and scientifically disproven. But you know, scientist, Satanist, same thing to me for real.
Yes, it's there for a reason. Because flat earth is an archaic belief, and it has been proven incorrect. But what does this Satanist know, right?
I mean, think about it. We are literally indoctrinated to believe this. The indoctrination begins in school and continues with NASA. At this point, you are probably convinced that we live on a globe. But let me just ask you one question. I actually have a little experiment for you.
Oh, here we go. I wonder what this will be.
Get a bowl of water and spin with it. What happens? The water spills everywhere. So you want me to believe that on a small bowl, it spills out everywhere. But on the grand scheme of things, on this huge planet that's covered in water, it doesn't fall out. Oh, but they'll tell you it's gravity.
Well, hang on, let me do this experiment first. Here we go. This is me with a bowl of water spinning at the same rate that the Earth does, once every 24 hours. Remember? The water is not going anywhere.
But did you know that gravity is only a theory? It's not a fact. Universal gravity is a theory. Einstein's theory of general relativity. They don't want you to question anything.
Someone doesn't know what the definition is of a scientific theory, which is, by the way, a well-substantiated explanation of some aspect of the natural world based on a body of facts. A body of facts that have been repeatedly confirmed through observation and experimentation.
But when you start questioning things, you'll see that a lot of what they said, if not all of it, makes no sense. They condition and program people to believe that we are spinning on a ball, just flying through space endlessly. And just ask yourself, well, why would they lie?
Excellent question. Why indeed? I'm sure this will be extremely enlightening.
Well, they want to eliminate God.
Absolute nonsense. Most people on Earth understand that it's a globe. Most people on Earth are religious. Don't think I need to say much more than that.
I mean, think about it. If you're on planet G47 discovering water on their moon, why would you need God? I mean, we can just go live on Mars eventually or some other planet. We can create our own reality, create our own world, and be our own God. But no. In all actuality, God loves us. We are the center of his love and affection, not the universe. The universe isn't even real.
Okay, this may be slightly true. Exploration into the galaxy may raise doubts about the existence of God for some people, but that's not the primary goal of space exploration. The primary goal is to advance our species and to explore.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and then he placed a firmament. So God is sitting above, on his throne, above the firmament. We are the center of his love.
There is absolutely no evidence to support that statement. None.
He cherishes us and loves us, and they don't want you to know that, and that's why they lie to you. Now, I believe that the stars and constellation rotate around us, or rather rotate around Polaris, not the other way around.
So what about the stars in the southern hemisphere then that rotate around the south celestial pole? No Polaris in sight there, I'm afraid. This is a big issue with flat earthers, especially those from the US. They believe that their perspective is the only one that matters.
And Polaris may be God's throne, but I don't know, I'm just speculating. But what I can tell you for sure is if you look at any time lapse of the stars in the night sky, you will see that they rotate around Polaris. And think about it, the constellations have never changed.
That is not true. They have, just not in the timescales that we can comprehend. For instance, the Big Dipper looked like this 50,000 years ago. That is because stars have proper motion. They do move relative to other stars against the background from our perspective.
We have the same stars that we've had over 2,000 years ago.
Well, yes, but 2,000 years is an astronomical blink.
And if we're ever expanding, well, why haven't the stars changed? Don't they live and die? Don't the stars have a life cycle? I don't know.
No, you don't. We have documented several examples of stars dying and then no longer being able to see them. This is fantastic evidence to suggest that stars do indeed have life cycles and they do come to an end.
When you start really questioning NASA and space and everything they tell you, you will find out it makes absolutely no sense. But then you'll be labeled archaic.
Well, it may not make sense to you, but that does not mean that it's not correct. That is called personal incredulity.
So anyways, in this video, we are going to look into NASA. Have you ever wondered who actually created NASA? It was actually Dwight D. Eisenhower, a president in 1958. What? A president? I would have thought a scientist, right?
Well, after the USSR launched Sputnik 1, Eisenhower drafted a legislation with Congress, and that was that a civilian agency would oversee America's non-military space activities. Thus, NASA was born.
But it's weird because isn't this the same president that supposedly met with aliens?
No, he did not meet with aliens.
I don't know, I just find that really interesting. 2 years later, in 1960, President Eisenhower transferred his rocket development group to a man named Wernher von Braun. Accordingly, von Braun became director of NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center and chief architect of the Saturn V launch vehicle. And there is so much with Saturn, but I'm going to get into that in another video.
Well, there's not much in it really, other than his previous rocket design was called Jupiter. Saturn, of course, is the Roman god of time, amongst other things.
Why is this important? Well, that vehicle would propel Americans to the moon. This is also the rocket that sent the first American astronaut, Alan Shepard, on a suborbital flight. He's considered the first American in space. Shortly after Shepard's successful flight, President Kennedy challenged America to send a man to the moon. And in 1969, it happened. That was only 9 years after Eisenhower appointed Wernher von Braun. Von Braun would go down in history to be one of the most important rocket developers and champions of space exploration in the 20th century.
I think that's a fair estimation. Yes, he was a pioneer indeed.
So, why does this matter? Well, I think that we can agree that based on NASA's own website, Wernher von Braun was a crucial part to sending the first man to space and to the moon.
There we go with their perspective is the only one that matters again. The USSR sent the first man to space, not the US.
Well, did you know that when Wernher von Braun died, he put something very interesting on his tombstone? Wernher von Braun died shortly after the successful moon mission, and he put Psalm 19:1 on his tombstone. That reads, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork." There's that word again, firmament. Now let me ask you, why would somebody that was exploring space and the moon and doing all this stuff with NASA and yay, why would he put the firmament on his tombstone? He could have put anything, but he made sure to tell us, because all they do is lie.
Yes, von Braun did become increasingly religious as he got older. I think this was just his take on how he believed that space and everything out there was part of God's creation. He wasn't doing a gotcha from beyond the grave.
And the firmament shows God's handiwork. Like, again, I don't care what NASA says. Look into things and question them for yourself.
You do realise that NASA is not the only space agency on Earth, right? No, you probably don't, do you?
Now, the other super interesting thing about NASA is they have a lot of documents. But did you know that some of those documents actually state that the Earth is flat? Like, what? So I'm going to give you some of the names of those documents, and you just come to your own conclusion after reading them. Okay, so the first document that we're going to go over is Determination of Angles of Attack and Side Slip from Radar Data and a Roll Stabilized Platform.
Oh, here we go. The documents. I love it when they eat this stuff up.
In the abstract, it states, "The method is limited, however, to application where a flat, non-rotating Earth may be assumed." Like, what? I thought we live on a globe. So why, for your determination of angles and whatever you're doing, are you assuming that the Earth is flat and non-rotating? I just make it make sense, that's all.
Right, first off, that publication details the movement of an aircraft through Earth's atmosphere. As this happens locally, it's far more convenient, given the calculations involved, that they assume the Earth is flat, because it is locally flat. And secondly, why believe NASA on one line of one of their documents, but not its entire history of seeing the globe Earth from space? They also talk about gravity in these papers. Are you going to ignore that bit too?
The next document is Investigation of Aircraft Landing in Variable Wind Fields. In the equations of the motion section, the aircraft trajectory model employed in this study was derived based on the following assumptions. And you can see all the assumptions, but the very first one that they name is that they are assuming that the Earth is flat and non-rotating.
Yeah, and it also assumes that the aircraft has constant mass, which it doesn't, of course, because the aircraft burns fuel. As I said, these assumptions are in there to make calculations easier. That is all.
And friends, this is right on NASA's website. Anybody can look at this. Again, I just find that extremely interesting. The third document I found is U.S. Standard Atmosphere of 1962. And in this one, when you get to this page, it says, "For the accuracy required in this document, it suffices to treat the surface as an ellipsoid whose flattening ellipsity is..." So when you look at the ellipsoid, it's like the globe. It's like how they think that Earth is, but just in like a stranger shape. Like, I thought we were a perfect circle or sphere, but I don't know, I just can't keep up with their lies.
I think it's more that you can't keep up with their maths. And I think we shall leave that there for today, because I don't want to see you butcher another one of their documents through colossal misunderstandings. Well, there we go, everyone. What do we think of that one, that brand new flat earther? Let me know there in the comments what you thought of Jenn's presentation. As I say, we're all done and dusted for another one. Thanks so much for watching today. It is, as ever, very much appreciated. If you enjoyed it, please do consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the thumbs up button too. Thank you. Just enough time to once again thank Ground News for sponsoring today's video. Remember, go to ground.news/Simon to stay fully informed on breaking news and compare media coverage. Click the link in the description to get 40% off unlimited access if you support the mission and find it as useful as I do. Thanks again to Ground News. I've been Simon Dan. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow for another Answers in Genesis video and more stuff on Noah's flood. See you then.